Alright, so in this video we're going to talk about the parts of a prescription and what necessarily needs to be on a prescription in order for the prescription to be valid. Okay, so the first part is going to be the patient information. Now there's always three things that need to be on each prescription for the patient. In order to verify that it's the correct patient, first we need to have the patient's name, then we need to have the patient's address, and the patient's date of birth. Those are the three things that we need. I'll just go ahead and put patient info right here, just so we can remember. Patient info, and those are the three things that we need for the patient information. Another thing that there is a superscription. Now this right here, the RX, let me go ahead and change colors real quick. So a superscription is going to be, it's going to say on the RX, or it's going to indicate that this is indeed a prescription. And so RX is, all it means is take or take thou. So I'm going to go ahead and just write superscription here. Superscription. And that's what the RX is for. So the RX is just saying, okay, everybody look, this is a prescription. Fill it however I write it. Now you have the subscription. The subscription is going to be the drug name, the dosage form, and the dosage strength. So for this one, we have the drug name, we have the drug strength, and the form right here is in the directions. So the form says tablet, so that's going to be the directions of this medication, as well as this one, the hydrocodone APAP. Now, so that's going to be the inscription. Now we have the signa. Signa, another way of saying signa is sig codes. This is how the doctors write in order to kind of narrow their time down and to make it so it can all fit on the prescription. So a signa or a sig code is going to be basically shorthand for what the doctor wants. So for example, this right here, we'll go ahead and label that as signa. And each one of these means something. So 1T is going to be one tablet, PO is by mouth, and QD is every day. And we'll go ahead and talk about the SIG codes a little more in a later video. But it's important to know that every prescription needs to have a SIG code so the patient knows how to take it. And then we have the prescription signature. So this prescription wouldn't be a valid prescription because it doesn't have the patient's signature on it yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign the patient's prescription, or sign the doctor's prescription. Alright, so see, if I was a doctor, it would now be a valid prescription. But I'm not a doctor, and Tiberius Jackson isn't anybody. But anyways, and so each prescription needs to have the doctor's signature or whoever is prescribing signature. Something else that is included is, if you can see right here, there's a box that's next to it says dispensed as written. Now, for example, let's just say the doctor wrote a DAW in here. That would mean that we could not substitute any medications. We could not substitute Nexium, and we could not substitute hydrocodone acetaminophen. But we're going to have to do it exactly as it's written. A few more examples of that is maybe going to be a DNS for do not substitute, brand medically necessary. And so these are all things that could be on the prescription that would indicate, sorry, just want to finish writing that. So that would indicate that no substitutions are allowed. Alright, and then another part that we're going to need for each prescription is we're going to need the date of the prescription. So right here, there's going to be the date. And why do you think the date's important? Because each prescription has an expiration date. And so if there was no date on it, we wouldn't know when it expires. And so we always need to have the date written on it. And we'll talk about when prescriptions expire in another video. Now the prescriber's identification. Now the prescriber's identification is important because sometimes there's going to be multiple doctors with the same name. And so we need to be able to learn to verify or determine which doctor it is. So as you can see right here, there's the doctor's name, you have the doctor's address, the doctor's phone number, and a DEA number. DEA stands for Drug Enforcement Agency, and so each prescription that has a controlled medication needs to have a DEA number, and we'll go ahead and talk about this in another video as well. So I'm just introducing you guys to certain things that are going to be that you're going to need to know for this section, but then of course we'll talk about it later. And then of course there's going to be the refills. Sometimes it might be NR for no refills. Sometimes it might be 3 refills. Sometimes it might be just a 0. And sometimes it could be 11 refills, depending on what the drug is and things like that. So this is just a standard part of the prescription that is all necessary and that you're going to need to know.